que hemos obtenido en el Camp Nou.
Bayern without Arjen Robben, Frankie Ribéry and David Alaba, while Barcelona should be at full strength. Barca have won 8 in a row in all competitions and a famous treble beckons. In England, Arsenal missed out on a great chance to move joint second in the Premier League after losing 1-0 to Swansea at the Emirates. The Swans ended the Gunners' 10-match unbeaten run thanks to a late header from substitute Babatimbi Gomis. Man City stay second, 3 points above Arsenal with 2 matches remaining. Swansea stay 8th.
Yeah, we're unlucky, I think, against a team who refused to play completely and just defended. And it was a question of being patient enough, and if we cannot win it, not to lose it. And overall, I'm quite encouraged by a lot by the quality we've shown in the second half. And but it's frustrating when you cannot win a game, don't lose it the way we did it.
At the Rome Masters, Grigor Dimitrov set up a second-round clash with Fabio Fognini by beating Jerzy Janowicz in straight sets. Gilles Simon also through, but not without dropping the opening set against the in-form Jack Sock. Richard Gasquet, already a winner in Estoril last month, and never in any danger in his win over Thomas Fabiano. Orica Green Edge continuing to dominate the Giro d'Italia. Michael Matthews sprinting to victory on stage 3 to top a 4-man Orica Green wedge atop the overall standings. The stage marked by a horrific crash involving Domenico Pozzovivo. The Italian, who was 5th in last year's Giro, says he remembers nothing about the accident.
A big breakaway went from the start, and we had 2 of our key climbers in the breakaway, and yeah, that took a lot of pressure off me and the other guys in the peloton, so we could just sit back and try and save as much energy as possible for the final. And yeah, as you can see in the lead out, I had a really good rider in Simon Gerrans leading me out, so when I saw this, it was really special, and I knew from then on I just had to try and finish it off for the team.
On the Tour of California, Mark Cavendish leads the way after once again sprinting to victory on the second stage, having already bagged the first at Atacanta. The relatively flat 194-kilometre pedal from Nevada City to Lodi saw the peloton split by a crash 10k from the finish. That finish into the wind and seeing Peter Sagan once again trying to stay ahead of Cavendish down the stretch. But it was a Manxman that took the line by a quarter of a wheel, extending his advantage over the Slovak into 8 seconds in the overall standings.
Down to earth.
We're down to earth in the United States, historically the largest emitter of carbon dioxide. But times are changing. In the last 10 years, America slashed its carbon pollution by almost 10%. It's not nearly enough. We need to get to zero emissions, if not below by 2050, to reduce the worst effects of climate change. How are we going to get there? Well, that's what we're here to find out.
Down to earth on France 24 and France24.com.
Paris's famous Palais de Tokyo is now housing Le Bord des Mondes, or the Edge of the Worlds. Opening with Balancing Rocks by American artist Bridget York, the exhibition defies not only categorization, but also expectations.
Why are you doing this?
I have no idea. For me, it's meditation, and the most difficult thing mentally is when there are a lot of people around. I have to focus very carefully to do the balancing.
Next up, Dutch artist Theo Jansen's colossal creatures. For more than 20 years now, the engineer-cum-visionary has been based on the beaches of The Hague, transforming tubes of cable insulation, soda bottles and PVC into magical beasts. One of the exhibition's key proposals is that scientific invention needn't be distinct from artistic creation. The mist catcher by Chilean Carlos Espinosa collects cloud water, which is then redistributed to where it's needed most.
You can see that there are many forms of expression that aren't necessarily confined to one artistic format, forms that let us see that works of art can exist everywhere, and that their creators are free spirits that move between different worlds and between different spheres of understanding, of gesture and knowledge.
In 1963, an American man named Jerry Gretzinger was sitting in an office, bored. To pass the time, he sketched imaginary maps. 50 years later, his son discovered the drawings and brought his father's dream world to life. A universe made flesh, yet still faithful to the fluidity of the original inspiration.
This is all collage on top of photocopy of the earlier version of that panel. And this water area is being converted to 1-inch collage squares. And if I live long enough, that technique will cover the whole map. But it would require 280,000 of those little squares to do that.
Jesse Crimes spent 6 years in an American prison. During this time inside, he engraved 300 portraits of his fellow inmates into bars of soap, which he then smuggled to the outside world in packets of playing cards.
It was illegal to do this in prison, but that was part of the reason for doing the work, is to use the materials of the prison against itself. If they give you materials like prison-issued soap or prison-issued anything, if you alter it, it's considered contraband, and you can get in trouble for that. So I had guys on the block who would send me a signal. So it was a very communal, kind of collective effort to make this work.
Since the 1980s, Tokyo-based Kenji Kawakami has been inventing objects at once functional and useless. Born out of a sense of political protest, his works hope to challenge and provoke the viewer. This artist too is showing nonsense.
If it's actually put some real use, well, that's great. No, having fun is good. I definitely wear high heels with umbrellas on them. Maybe I could use them to dry the client's hair.
Charlie Lemandou, hair artist extraordinaire, pushes the art form to its limits. Yak hair horns and gold-spun locks, just some of his fantastical offerings. The exhibition's grand finale honours the timeless figure of the sap, an acronym for the Society for the Advancement of Elegant People, a phenomenon that burst out of the two Congos in the 1970s. A community of men devoted to style and sophistication. For these men and many more, you're a god, an icon.
I'm not sure. I'd say more archangel. It depends how you look at it. But I'm very touched because I've already seen videos of what they do in Kinshasa. I was with Yoji and we were both moved because they've got a cult that existed 30 years ago, and I'm happy that I finally got to meet them and that we were able to go on this adventure together. It's beautiful.
Sapeurs are known for their style contests, a serious matter to be undertaken with both grace and attitude.
Champion! Champion! Osiliki! Voilà likamba osilika. Osiliki! Likamba osilika ngwana. Ukangikanda pole pa uti potoye.
This guy's the king of sap. We say that the sap isn't about behaving badly. It's about appreciating men's beauty. Great clothes, sharp clothes. I've really gone for it. I'm wearing Yoji Yamamoto.
It can't be easy getting hold of labels like Castelbajac, Yoji Yamamoto and Job Gaultier.
But that's the magic of the sapeur. Clothes are drawn to him. It's the sapeur that determines the value of an item of clothing. It's not the clothes that make the sapeur. It's the sapeur who exists as an artist first and foremost. I'm wearing Castelbajac.
Oh, God of the sapeur, forgive us who can't dress well. Forgive those who don't know how to tell colours apart. That's the leitmotif of the sapeur community.
I respond to the name of Sisloko to the spiritual. It's all about spirituality. Being a sapeur is about discovering the true you.
The Edge of the Worlds is on at the Palais de Tokyo until the 17th of May.
One-year-old Rafael was born by caesarean section, just like all the other babies in his mother Paula's family. Over half of Brazil's babies are delivered using surgery, a trend that has alarmed the authorities. But women like Paula say they find it more convenient.
To avoid the pain or reduce it, and to schedule the delivery date, I choose the date of birth so that my family can be there.
At 56% of live births, Brazil has the world's highest rate of C-sections. This is more than 3 times the World Health Organization's recommended rate. And the figure is even higher in private clinics, where 8 out of 10 babies are born through surgery because doctors prefer faster and more predictable procedures.
O médico, ele acaba não tendo disponibilidade.
In the end, the doctor does not have time to care for all the women who are in labor over such a long period of time.
De tempo de evolução de trabalho de parto.
But the operation has risks. Surgery often starts before the first contractions, which can give the baby breathing problems. The health ministry has called the widespread practice an epidemic, which should be limited to difficult births only.
This excessive number of cesareans in our country has become a real public health problem. That is why we should value natural births again.
To encourage more live births, the government has launched projects like this one at Sao Paulo's Albert Einstein Hospital. Health officials will be better trained and more beds brought in to accommodate women during the long labour process. Prenatal classes also help expectant mothers get used to the idea of natural birth. And so health authorities hope to change culture one baby step at a time.